Hi all, Cynthia here, back doing another art journal process layout, and it's been a long time for me. I think last layout I did was in September 2017. It's now January 2018, so for me that's a long time and I've really missed it. So what I decided to do was I would play along with the challenge that is over on Mission Inspiration. It's a Facebook group and there's challenges monthly that you can do, and I thought that I would try this month to play along. And I have to say, of course it's been so long, I just looked at the blank page and I did not know what to do. I thought, oh, how do I start? What am I going to do? What's my plan? Where do I go? Which is not like me. I generally don't have a plan anyway, but I do have to say that I certainly felt like I'd lost the flow of how to do it or what to do. In the end, I said to myself, oh, for God's sake, Cynthia, just get something on the page and get going. So I just followed the prompts and had no idea what I was doing or where I was going. So the first prompt was to glue squares or rectangle pieces of card or paper onto your page. So you saw me there. I just grabbed a scrap piece of paper that was on my desk. It had a little bit of interest on it. I had wrote out on a list of some description on it, and as I just tore it up. The next one was to add white or tinted gesso. So what I'd done here was I got the gesso out and I added a very light wash of pink and blue, because pink, blue and olive green are the three colours that was to be used in the challenge. And the next step was to make marks with the brush or comb. So I pulled out the toothbrush here and decided I'd just start making some marks down the bottom. And it was as I was making these marks that it started coming to me that, well, these kind of look like tufts of grass or bushes of some description. So I went and got the green again and decided to make them a little bit taller. And yeah, it's about here that I'm thinking, oh, okay then. So I could do that's a bit of a bluey, pink sunset background. I could do something there and make this the grass and have some sort of image associated around that. So also pulled out the white gesso and just using the back of my paintbrush here to add just some dots and interest. I felt the background was a little bit plain, so I've just added some dots around the top, just the top of the grass. I felt like maybe I'll have some sort of flowers or something coming out of it, and these whites can be the specks, something to do with the flowers. Next was to add blocks of handwritten journaling. So I grabbed out my white pen and across all the blocks of paper that I put down, I just scribbled, I should say, little quotes and words. Couldn't be bothered actually going looking up true quotes, so I just sort of made stuff up out of my head, half of what I read and half of what, I just made up. And I was going to say I'll read them to you, but look, at that faint and that light that I could really struggling to read what I said. I'm looking and can't really read any of it. I know it was all around fresh and start and new and floating and be free. It was just, as I said, random words I made up out of my head. When you look at the page, you can see there's that soft detail in the background, but just not quite. I just wrote it quickly and scribbled, and you can't really tell what I wrote. So here I'm showing you this book that I brought from a secondhand shop. It was a book of birds, and I initially brought it thinking that I would cut it up and use the birds, but I just can't bring myself to cut it. It's just such a gorgeous book. So I went to took it to my printer, and I just printed one of the pages onto a thick cardstock, or actually it was a really matte photo paper, and have just cut them out, and I think that's a lot better idea on what to do. Except I did take the book off the printer before it finished scanning it, so that's why it had that strange purple line through it. But that's fine, I think it printed out majority of the birds. So then I decided to add a little bit more interest in the background and put some splatters of the pink that I had used as the soft wash in the background, but I just made it quite strong colour, didn't water it down at all. So the reason I added the birds was the next image, or the next prompt was to you also saw me draw through a stencil there, so that was one of the prompts as well, was to draw through a stencil. So I pulled out the I think they're meant to be wheat, stems of wheat, and it's a very delicate stencil. And I drew through that, and then the next prompt was to add a focal point, so I added the two birds. And this one was to add shredded book or music text, and so I ripped some newspaper up and have added that to the page. Initially I used gesso, thinking it was the matte gel, and then I was going over top and I think, oh, this is pretty white. And then I realised it was gesso, so I quickly ripped that piece off and put another piece down. Wondering whether I should add a little bit of this paper along the bottom as grass to ground the page. And I really like the way this has turned out, so it's sort of like the earth of the page, really. So the paper that I'm using is just the stocks page, where they list all the stocks for the day. I really like the way that the text is lined up and it has little strips and columns, and I quite often use that type of paper, newspaper, on an art journal page as a background focal point, or a background image. What am I doing here? Just gluing everything down, making sure it's all stuck correctly. And the last prompt is to add text or a quote of some description. So I get out some very old, you see them coming up here in a minute, very old, nearly like rub-ons, and I dare say that I've had these in my stash for 10, 15, probably a few more years, quite a few years, and they still rub on really well. Just grabbing the white pen there, going through, adding some highlights on the bird, and also just adding some highlights through the grass to give the grass a little bit of definition as well. So here these rub-ons I spoke about, and I put down my little quote because the inspiration words that you're meant to draw from were renew, resolve, wish. Oh God, there's another two words there, but I don't have my glasses and I can't see what that was, but it's all about fresh starts and beginnings. And so the quote that I drew was, "You've been granted the gift of a new day. Don't pollute it with worries from the past. Embrace it, appreciate it, make a fresh start." So I did the quote on top of the newspaper text there, and I'm denied about where I should put the make a fresh start, but I've just pulled out a bigger set of these rub-ons because I have them in probably about 10 different sizes and fonts, and there's lots of letters on each sheet, and they've just been fantastic. I absolutely love them, and I'm going to miss them when I run out. So put out the pit markers and am now going to add some shading. So I just go around the birds with some blue, and then I go around the grass or the ground with some green, and I also go around all the blocks of the paper that I put in the background. I just go around those and highlight them, give them a little bit of shadow so you can actually see they're there in the background. So really, really enjoyed this process. It was so nice just to get back into the swing of an art journal again, and I'm going to make sure that, I do it a few more again. I used to do them quite often, so I'm going to make sure I get back into that again. Just adding some more detail to the grass, decided I'll go in and add some black sketchy marks once again to give that feeling of depth in the grass, so that there's the background green and I got some white highlights, and then I have the black sketchy lines as well. And that is pretty much come to the end of the layout. There's some close-ups towards the end, so stick around and have a look at those. Thank you very much for joining me and watching this far. If you like the process, as always, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me any comments, ask questions. I love reading and answering all your questions. And until next time, have a good day, a good week, and a good month. And I will catch you and talk to you on the next one. Bye.